Very good evening to everyone and a hearty welcome to all of you to Aurora online classes. Dear students, once again I am back and I am back with a new lesson for you. So today we shall read about Anne Frank. Let's proceed with the lesson. So the today's lesson is for you from the diary of Anne Frank. From the diary of Anne Frank is an extract from a very famous novel, The Diary of a Young Girl. So, from the diary of Anne Frank is an extract from a very famous novel, that is The Diary of Young Girl. Who was this young girl? This young girl was Anne Frank. Who is the writer of The Diary of Young Girl? The writer of The Diary of Young Girl is none other than Anne Frank, and she was merely 13 years old. Actually, what happens, the setting of this story is during the Second World War, and this is a true story. The incidents and events mentioned in this diary are true, they are authentic. So it is an authentic lesson, and it is an authentic story. Events and incidents mentioned in this story are true, they are not false. Actually, this diary was written by Anne Frank during the Second World War, and all of you are aware, you must have read in history the rule of Nazis, the Nazi party in Germany by Adolf Hitler. And you know, Adolf Hitler was a dictator. During the Second World War, the Nazi party, the Nazis I would say, which was anti-socialist, anti-democrat, and atrocities were inflicted upon the Jews in Germany during the Second World War. Most of the Jews were forced to leave their houses and to take shelter in some other countries. It is said that 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust by the Nazi party. So the Nazis subjugated Netherlands, and they reigned, I would say, or they waged a reign of terror on the Jews. They made atrocities on the Jews. The Jews were persecuted, they were killed. So there was a persecution of the Jews on a very large scale, and a large scale killing of the Jews is called Holocaust in Germany. You must have read in history. So what happened to the Jews? The Jews were oppressed, they were exploited, they were tormented, they were tortured by the Nazis, by the Nazi party. Adolf Hitler was against the Jews. Now, let us talk about it. And as I said, what happened, that as this the diary of young girl. Who is the writer? Anne Frank is the writer. And who was Anne Frank? Anne Frank was a German born Jewish girl. She belonged to the Jewish family. Jewish is a religion like Christianity, Hinduism, Muslims. There is also in Europe Jewish. In Hindi we call Yahudi. So she was born, Anne Frank was born in Germany. She was born on 12 June 1929 in Germany. As I said that the Jewish and Jewish people, Yahudi log, they were persecuted, means they were killed on a large scale, they were oppressed, they were tortured, they were tormented, they were dragged out of the houses. Let us see, thousands of Jews were forced to leave their houses. Thousands of Jews were forced to leave their houses. They were dragged out of their houses and sent to the concentration camp, and they were blocked in the concentration camp, and where they were burnt alive in the gas chamber. Actually, they were stuffed into the gas chambers in the concentration camp, and the gate was blocked, the room was blocked, the hall was blocked, and they were killed in great number after the leaking of the gas in the rooms or in the halls where the Jews were packed. So they were killed in the gas chambers, and they were dragged out of the houses, and they were sent to the concentration camp. They were deprived of all the rights of the civilians. So many problems, they were facing so many problems, so many atrocities, julm, I would say, exploitation. Hitler was an oppressive ruler, he was a dictator. Then many of the Jews went into hiding to escape the arrests from Germans. To save their lives, many of the Jews, majority of the Jewish people, they left their houses and they went into hiding. They had to hide in order to save their lives from the clutches of Germans, from the arrest of Germans, means Nazi party, Nazis. And the leader of the Nazi party was, the supreme leader of the Nazi party was the dictator Adolf Hitler. You must have read in history. Then the Frank family was one of them. And what happened to the Frank family? The Frank family was one of them, and the Frank family also went into hiding in a secret annex. Secret annex is the office building of Otto Frank. Otto Frank was the father of Anne Frank. So actually the Frank family fled from Germany in 1903 and took shelter in Netherlands. In Netherlands means they migrated, they fled from Germany to Netherlands, to Amsterdam, and Amsterdam is the capital of Netherlands. So who is the writer of this story? As I have said right now, sorry to disturb you. As I have said right now that the writer of this story is Anne Frank. Anne Frank was a young girl. She was merely at that time 13 years old. She was of 13 years of age. And what happened? So she describes each and everything. She describes the plight of the Jews, the unpleasant circumstances, the horrible times during the Holocaust, during the Second World War. So the times were quite horrible for them. The situation was quite unpleasant. The circumstances were quite adverse for all of them. So what does Anne Frank write about it? Let's go ahead. Elise Marie Yen Frank, 12 June 1929, February or March 1945, was a German-born Jewish girl who wrote while in hiding with her family and four friends in Amsterdam during the German occupation of the Netherlands in the World War II. As I have said right now, that Anne Frank was a German-born Jewish girl who wrote this diary during her hiding with her family and some of her friends in Amsterdam. Amsterdam is the capital of Netherlands, and it happened during the occupation of Netherlands. German occupation of Netherlands means the Germany, the Nazi party, the Nazis occupied Germany during the Second World War. So her family had to migrate to Amsterdam. Amsterdam is the capital of Netherlands after the Nazis gained power in Germany. But they were trapped when the Nazi occupation extended into the Netherlands. As persecutions against the Jewish population increased, as I have said, that the Jews were persecuted, they were killed, they were sent to concentration camp, they were tortured, they were exploited, they were oppressed, they were tormented. So, as persecutions against the Jewish population increased, the family went into hiding in July 1942 in hidden rooms in her father Otto Frank's office building. So they had to take shelter in Netherlands in secret annex, and secret annex was the hiding place for Anne Frank's family. So they went into a hiding in secret annex, and this secret annex was the Otto Frank's office building. So the family had to take shelter in Netherlands in secret annex during the occupation of Nazis, during the occupation of Netherlands by the Nazis. So for their safety, they took shelter in Netherlands to escape the arrests from the Germans, the Nazi party. After 2 years in hiding, the group was betrayed and transported to the concentration camp system, where Anne died of typhus. All of them were sent to the concentration camp. They were arrested by the Nazi party. The Nazis ultimately they remained in hiding for 2 years, and their hiding came to be known to the Nazi party, the Nazis, and when the Nazis came to their hiding, then the members of the family were arrested and they were sent to concentration camp. And in the concentration camp, Anne's mother died. Anne's elder sister Margot also died, and Anne died just because of typhus. Her mother died, and other people who were in hiding, they were also taken to the concentration camp and they died over there. So all of them died. Only one survivor, Otto Frank. Otto Frank was the father of Anne Frank. Only Anne Frank's father survived. Only Anne's father, Otto Frank, survived. He was the survivor, and rest of them were taken to the concentration camp and they died there. So in that group, in Otto Frank family, or I would say Frank family, so who was the survivor? The only survivor. Who was the only survivor in the Frank family? It was Anne Frank's father, Otto Frank, the only one survivor in Otto Frank's family, or Frank's family you can say. So he survived. He was not killed, he did not die. And so what did he do? Otto, the only survivor of this group. So who survived? Only father survived. Only father was alive. Rest of them died in the concentration camp. And he came to Amsterdam after the war ended to find that her diary had been saved. Convinced that it was a unique record, he took action to have it published in English under the name The Diary of a Young Girl. So as I have said right now, that all of them, all the members of Frank family died in the concentration camp. The only survivor in the Frank family was Otto Frank, the father of Anne Frank. Only he was alive. He survived only, and he came back to Amsterdam after the end of the Second World War, or after the Second World War ended, and he came. Actually, he came, and when he came, he found this diary. He found this diary in which she was writing, or she wrote, she gave an authentic information, or she gave an authentic information about the horrible times, about the exploitation of the Nazis, about the oppressive rule of the Nazi party, Hitler. And she also talked about her early life. She talked about the troubles, obstacles, impediments faced by the Jews during the Second World War, Holocaust. So see, whatever information she has given, whatever information she mentioned in the diary is true, is authentic. And it was Anne's father who was the survivor only, who was the only one survivor. And when Anne's father came back to Amsterdam and he found Anne's diary, and credit goes to him that he got this diary published, and the name of the diary was, this diary became a book, and it became a very famous book. It became the most widely read book in those days. Not only this, so he got this diary published, and this diary appeared in form of a novel, in form of a book. Actually, this diary was written originally. This diary was written in a Dutch language, because in Netherlands the people are Dutchish. So actually, originally this diary was written in the Dutch language. Means Anne Frank wrote this diary in the Dutch language. So the original writing was done in Dutch language, and thereafter it was translated into many languages, and it became one of the most famous or best selling books those days. And it is still a very famous book, because the information in this diary about the Second World War, about the oppressive policy of the Nazis, and about the persecution, torture, exploitation, tormentation of the Jews by the Nazi party. So this diary gives us an authentic account of all the things that I have mentioned right now. The diary was given to Anne Frank for her 13th birthday, and chronicles the events of her life from 12 June 1942 until the final entry of 1st August 1944. So this diary has the entry from 12 June 1942 to 1st August 1944. So the final entry was made on 1st August 1944, and it has started from the first entry was it has started from 12 June 1942 until the final entry of 1st August 1944. It was eventually translated from its original Dutch into many languages. As I have said, originally this diary was written in Dutch language, and thereafter it was translated into many languages and became one of the world's most widely read books. There have also been several films, television and theatrical productions, and even an opera based on the diary. And so many films, opera, theatrical productions, plays, television shows were made on the basis of this diary. So, described as the work of a mature and insightful mind, the diary provides an intimate examination of daily life under Nazi occupation. Anne Frank has become one of the most renowned and discussed of the Holocaust victims. And Holocaust means large scale killing during Second World War, and this large scale killing was the killing of Jews. As I said, that 6 million Jews were killed by the Nazi in Germany during the Second World War. 6 million means 60 lakhs Jews were killed. So this diary gives us an authentic report, an authentic information about the plight means about the deplorable, miserable condition of the Jews during the Second World War, during the Holocaust. And Anne Frank was also one of the victims of Holocaust. Means the Jews were the victims, especially the Jews were the victims of this Holocaust. Holocaust means a large scale destruction or large scale killing. As I said, 6 million Jews were killed in the German Holocaust. Now, let us talk about it. And as I said, that writing, as I said about it, that it's an authentic information. Writing in a diary is really a strange experience for someone like me, not only because I have never written anything before, but also because it seems to me that later on neither I nor anyone else will be interested in the musings. Musings means thoughts of a 13-year-old schoolgirl. Oh well, it doesn't matter. I feel like writing, and I have an even a greater need to get all kinds of things off my chest. Actually, writing, what does she say? She tells her that writing was really a strange experience for Anne Frank, though she didn't want to write a diary. And at first she thought that nobody will be interested in reading her diary, because the writer of this diary is merely a 13 years old young girl, and people won't believe her. Whatever she would write, people won't believe her. Actually, as I said, that the times were very horrible, the circumstances were quite deplorable, quite adverse those days. So who would believe the mentioning of, who would believe such incidents and events made by a girl of merely 13 years old? So it was really a strange experience for her. She did not want to write a diary, but actually she was a very sensitive girl, and she wanted to express her inner feelings. Since she wanted to express her inner feelings, she had to write a diary, because actually we are human beings and we have emotions, we have our own personal emotions, we have our own personal thoughts, we have our own personal feelings, and we cannot share our personal and intimate feelings with people. We cannot share everything with other people. That is why it was needed for Anne Frank to express her ideas, her personal thoughts, her personal feelings to someone who could hide her feelings or who could not disclose her feelings to others. That is why she says, to get all kinds of things off my chest. She want, in order to lighten in order to lighten the burden of her thoughts, she had to write a diary. So she wanted to lighten her thoughts. Actually, what happened? She felt suffocated. She went into hiding. She was in hiding. And she was left with no alternative than opening out her heart through the pages of the diary. That is why she says that paper has more patience than people. I thought of this saying on one of those days when I was feeling a little depressed and was sitting at home with my chin in my hands, bored and listless, wondering whether to stay in or go out. I finally stayed where I was brooding, means deep thought. Yes, paper does have more patience, and since I am not planning to let anyone else read this stiff-backed notebook, grandly referred to as a diary, unless I should ever find a real friend, it probably won't make a bit of difference. She says paper has more patience than people. Paper has more patience than people. Actually, as I said, the times were horrible, the circumstances were adverse. She couldn't trust all people. She was in hiding with a few friends, family members, father, mother, and some other some other friends. They were in hiding. She could not talk everything to those people. She could not express her personal feelings with those people. That is why it was a must for her to express her inner feelings, her thoughts, her views to someone whom she really trusted. And actually, that is why she says paper has more patience than people. Actually, she says that paper has a lot more patience. Paper has a lot more patience than people, because people don't have that much time. They don't have that much time to listen to you. And if they listen to you, they would definitely react. People react. It is the habit of the people to react. And sometimes people react in a very negative way. Sometimes people react in a very unpleasant manner, in a very violent manner. That is why she decided that this diary, I mean this paper is impersonal and it is not reactive. The paper is impersonal, it is not reactive, it is non-reactive. So the diary means paper. So the diary is the paper, I mean to say paper is impersonal and non-reactive object. Whatever you write there, so whatever you write on it, it receives it without making any objections. But the people can create objections, they can react, but diary cannot react, paper cannot react. It is a non-reactive object, and whatever you write on it, it will not raise any objection. Whatever you write, it receives without making any muggings, without making any objections, without making any such reactions. So paper is non-reactive and impersonal. You can freely write whatever comes to your mind. That would be safe. So that is why she says paper has more patience than people. So dear students, as I have said, paper has more patience than people. So I have taught you till here, and I'll discuss the rest of the things in my next class. Thank you very much. Till then, be happy, stay blessed. That's all for today.